What's going on, everybody? Welcome to After Prison Show, and in this video we're going to address two really interesting topics that a lot of people have been asking about, especially as of late. One being, how clean is prison? And the other being about getting sick in prison as well. Now, the reason I wanted to combine these two topics into one video is because these two things basically go hand in hand. Cleanliness and sickliness. I don't think that's a word, though. You know, in a lot of ways, prison, it's a major contradiction. I mean, think about it. They make a place like prison to be such a horrible experience where guards are, for the most part, going to treat you very bad. You're going to have to walk a tightrope and walk on eggshells to make sure you don't have any problems with staff or other prisoners. Comfort levels are going to be at an all-time low. You're going to be confined, incarcerated, and your liberties and freedoms are going to be virtually, well, none. And the reason they do this, I'm guessing, is because if they make this place such a horrible, miserable experience that you're probably going to have to spend an extensive amount of time dealing with, well, then maybe that might be enough for guys to not want to come back to that. Yet, however, that's just not ever really the case. Because in more cases than not, guys like myself, because I most certainly did it too, will end up going right back there shortly after getting released. In fact, they say within the first 3 to 5 years, 65% of guys who get released will end up going back again. And just to be completely clear, I know they're not going back because they enjoy that place. I mean, trying to adjust out here after serving time with a criminal record, trying to find employment, dealing with addiction problems. I mean, the list is endless as far as obstacles that stand in your way. It has nothing to do with enjoying anything about prison. So the point I was trying to make right there probably isn't even a valid one. Yet, let's move on to one that most certainly is. And that is the cleanliness, I hope I said that correctly, the cleanliness of a prison. And this one is definitely a major contradiction. Because no matter whether you're in jail or whether you're in prison, you will see that there are always guys who are doing some sort of cleaning. Whether they're sweeping and mopping, whether they're cleaning bathrooms and shower areas, whether they're waxing floors or cleaning out microwaves or doing laundry. I mean, there is always some form or fashion of cleaning that is taking place inside, again, either a jail or a prison. And yet, even with all of that cleaning that basically takes place like 24/7, them still some real nasty places to be. I mean, Joe, that don't sound like it makes any sense at all. If guys are cleaning up 24/7, wouldn't it be a clean place to be at? Hey man, what kind of other videos? PewDiePie just uploaded something new. Oh, PewDiePie! I love you, PewDiePie. I'm not even gonna touch the screen this time. I ain't gonna be liking a bunch of tweets like I did yesterday. And you know, that is a very good question to bring up. If guys are cleaning up all of the time in a place like that, well then how could it possibly be so dirty? And the answer to that is because no matter how much cleaning you do in a place like that, in fact, you better be cleaning all of the time to at least try to keep it super nasty. Because if you ain't cleaning all the time, that place is going to be super, super duper nasty. You get what I'm trying to say there? I mean, no matter how much cleaning you do, that place is still going to be super nasty. And the reason for that is because no amount of cleaning can outweigh just the nastiness of certain prisoners who are locked up in those places. I mean, some of these guys in there are like the nastiest, dirtiest, filthiest people you will ever come across in your life. We've addressed this in a video a long time ago where they're referred to while serving time as Vikings. Now, I know a lot of people told me that Vikings weren't really dirty people. However, this is a prison term that is used quite frequently pertaining to an individual who is just absolutely nasty. And you know, I can't really put it into like a percentage amount, but I would be willing to bet that it's about like 15% of the prison population, no matter where you are. And maybe even more than that, who are just some absolutely disgusting, filthy, living like pigs type of prisoners. And you know, there's this saying, and I'm trying to remember how it goes, something along the lines of all it takes is like one rotten tomato or one rotten egg to pretty much spoil the bunch. Well, that is a perfect analogy to use in trying to describe why prison is such a nasty place, even with so much cleaning that takes place there on a daily basis. So with the fact that prison is a pretty dirty place to be, let's go ahead and talk about some of the dirtiest of places inside of a prison. 1, the prison bathrooms. For whatever reason, that place is just always going to be a disgusting, nasty place. You always got to have your shoes on when going in there. One, to prevent you from leaving your feet behind when you leave from there. And two, well, because a lot of fights take place in there, a lot of ambushes, a lot of jumping, a lot of attacks take place in the bathrooms, because that might be one of the few areas that might have some seclusion to it. So you better have your shoes on for a defensive measure as well anytime you go in there. And it's probably no stretch of the imagination to think that inside of these prison bathrooms is where the nastiest of things take place. And I don't want to get too crazy with this, but you have to imagine this is a very vast and wide category of the type of nasty things that take place inside of a bathroom. Whether it be because a guy's exploded all over a toilet, maybe two guys went in there together, maybe guys are in there using needles. I mean, there's a lot of things that take place inside of a prison bathroom that will definitely help contribute to that area being a very nasty and dirty place. Oh, and by the way, anytime you go in there to use the restroom, anytime you're going to be sitting down on a toilet, you better make sure you lace that thing up pretty well, putting a couple of layers of toilet paper down if you can even afford to do so. Because in a lot of cases, toilet paper may be hard to come by, which again leads to more guys being nasty. They're not going to lace up the toilet seat because they don't have the toilet paper to do so. They're just going to go ahead and bareback that toilet. And you're talking about guys who've got MRSA, guys who've got boils, guys who have all sorts of things that could be contagious, things that you definitely don't want to be picking up yourself. And if you do go inside of that bathroom and decide for whatever reason not to lace that toilet up, there's a good possibility that when you get up and leave from there, you're going to leave right behind in there your damn Junies. Hey, where my Junies go? Hey, anybody see my Junies? I just came out of the bathroom. I can't find my Junies anywhere. You went up in that bathroom and decided not to lace that toilet up is what you did. Your Junies are probably still sitting on that toilet right now, catching all sorts of bacteria and other nasty things the guys done left up there from doing the same thing that you done did. Sat down bareback on a prison toilet. What are you thinking? If you value your Junies, you're best to lace up those toilets in prison. The showers can be just as dirty as prison toilets, because you got to imagine, just as a lot of crazy things are going to be taking place on those toilets, so too will crazy things, and maybe even a few more crazy things, be taking place inside of those showers. You better go in there wearing your shower shoes. If you don't have any shower shoes, you better wear some prison boots. If you don't have any prison boots, you better wrap your feet up in some ramen noodle soup wrappers. That guy got his feet wrapped up in some chicken flavored ramen noodle soup packs. It's actually pretty stylish right there. Man, look at this guy styling and profiling with these ramen noodle chicken flavored soup packs on his feet. Hey, can you make me a pair of those soup pack shoes? Those things are super fly. Whether it's the toilets or the showers, you definitely want to take extra precaution when using either of those two things in prison. Another super dirty place in prison most certainly has to be isolation, or as it's oftentimes referred to as, the hole. And a reason why this place is so nasty and disgusting is because you've got guys who are back here for all sorts of reasons. Maybe they're crazier than any other people you've ever seen in your life. Or the more likely reason why they're back there because of some sort of disciplinary punishment. And while back there, no matter if you're talking about the craziest of prisoners or guys who have gotten in trouble for whatever reason, in a lot of cases, these guys are going to act like absolute lunatics and animals. Playing with their poop, throwing it, smearing it all over the walls or the windows or the bars, peeing all over the place or flooding their cells. And to have to go back there as a person who's not crazy and just as somebody who's gotten in trouble for whatever reason, maybe like myself for tattooing or fighting, and going back there knowing that this is the type of stuff that takes place back there, seeing guys do this type of stuff, hearing guys do this type of stuff right there in the cell next to you, and most certainly, if you don't see it, if you don't hear it, you are definitely going to smell it. So yeah, the hole, that's a pretty dirty place as well. Then not to mention another contributing factor to making prison an overall dirty place is at certain facilities, mostly like older facilities, you're going to have all sorts of bugs, spiders, rats, mice crawling all over the damn place. I've heard horror stories of guys waking up with rats and mice or spiders in their beds. I can't tell you how many countless guys I have seen walking around with gigantic bumps on their necks or on their legs, claiming that a spider bit them while they were asleep. And in some cases, it turns out that that is in fact what those bumps are. Spider bites. However, in a lot of cases, it turns out that what those bumps really are is some form of a staph infection or MRSA, which, if you don't know, is super contagious. And what also brings us to the next part of this video, getting sick in prison. And a big reason why guys do get sick in prison is because, just like we've been talking about, prison is a pretty dirty place. And you know, I think the best way I can explain what prison is like for somebody who's never experienced it, prison has some certain similar characteristics as an airport, or maybe even a bus terminal. A place where there's tons of people coming from all over the place, and a place that is guaranteed to be filled with all sorts of germs. And again, an airport and prison have that in common. You're going to have guys who are coming in from all over the place, from other prisons and other facilities, bringing with them God only knows what. And the worst of these germs and these sicknesses is going to be in these receiving units, either where you first go to when you get to prison and they're trying to figure out where to send you, or when you get to the prison where you're going to and you start off in some sort of a classification unit. Because it's in these type of environments where, again, guys are coming from all over the place, bringing with them who knows what kind of sicknesses. And it's in these type of places where you definitely run the risk of getting really, really sick. In fact, it happened to me. I was in this classification unit at one of the prisons I was sent to. You had all of these guys coming in from these different places, and everybody in there seemed to be sick. And it wouldn't be soon after I got in there, I became like deathly sick. I mean, I felt like I was gonna die in this place. And when you go through something like that, being sick in prison, trying to go see a doctor or a nurse, I mean, it's almost gonna take like an act of Congress to make that happen. You'll write a medical request form, you'll send that in, and you might have to wait like a week before they call you in to see you. So that's a week that you're going to have to go suffering from whatever it is that you might be dealing with without any type of medicine or any type of other treatment. And then when you do finally get in to see somebody, I mean, the most they're going to give you is probably like some Tylenol, maybe some cough syrup. I mean, they're really not going to do too much for you. And God forbid you be dealing with anything more serious than a cold. I mean, there is a good potential things could get very, very serious for you. And I have legitimately seen guys die in prison because they didn't receive the proper medical treatment that they needed, especially in a timely manner. And you know, one other quick thing to throw in about getting sick in prison is usually it goes like this. If one guy is sick, you can guarantee there's going to be a lot of other people getting sick right behind him. Because these germs are going to spread like wildfire inside these close, confined quarters. And even worse than a prisoner getting sick, you'll see guards who will come to work and these guys look like they should have never even came to work today. Super sick, bringing in whatever kind of illness from the street. Maybe it's like a bird flu or God only knows what. And they're coming to work, touching everything, spreading these germs. And then before you know it, the entire compound is on some type of a quarantine lockdown, because I've seen that as well. I can remember one time specifically, we were on a quarantine lockdown for an unknown sickness. And there were guys who were in this housing unit with me, laying a couple of bunks away from me. And these guys looked like they were legitimately getting ready to die. And this was probably one of the scariest times that I served while locked up, because we're locked down for this quarantine medical emergency, not knowing what exactly is in this housing unit. And we're stuck in here with that, watching other guys who look like they might not even make it. Thinking to myself, man, I swear I am not trying to catch what these guys get and run the risk of potentially dying in here myself. Without question, prison is a nasty place. No matter the amount of cleaning that takes place in there on a daily basis, it's still gonna be super nasty. And with that, you are definitely gonna have a lot of guys getting sick. So if you can, and if at all possible, really try to avoid going to a place like that. Hey, look, that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did so, please leave a like and a comment letting me know exactly what you thought about it. As always, until next time, enjoy life, the free world, never take a moment for granted, and make the most of every day. Peace!